We got some big-time news to discuss on today's edition of the Bulls Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Patrick Seatman, and today's show is presented by PrizePicks. Now, coming up on today's show, Chicago's very own Ayo Dosunmu. Does he want back in Chicago? We'll talk about it first. And then I said I'm not talking about a Josh Giddey trade unless we got a report about a Josh Giddey trade, but apparently the Minnesota Timberwolves are interested in acquiring Josh Giddey, so we'll talk about that on the back half of today's show. But why are we talking about Ayo Dosunmu? Well, Kendall Gill, Illini legend, he had this to say on Ayo, saying, I know Ayo. From my conversations with him this summer, he would be open to returning to the Chicago Bulls. Now, obviously grew up here, played his high school hoops here, played his college hoops, not in Chicago, but still at Illinois. And he spends a lot of time still in Chicago in the offseason. This was actually Ayo on Instagram the other day, hanging out with the face of the franchise, Modest Buzelis. Those guys are just hanging out, getting some lunch together. But then also Modest Buzelis posted on his Instagram story a picture of him and Ayo Dosunmu. So you get Kendall Gill saying it. You get Modest posting on Instagram. You get Ayo posting on Instagram. Now, obviously, these guys are still buddies. But, hey, I'm sure Modest Buzelis, I'm sure he was talking to Ayo, being like, hey, bro, we got a whole new regime. We got a whole new coaching staff. Let's bring you back to Chicago. You could be, part of this young core that we're trying to build here. And, I'm starting to get fully delusional. But I really do think Ayo Dosunmu wants to return to the Chicago Bulls. I mean, you just think about this from his perspective. He gets traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves by Arturas Karnisovas, Billy Donovan, that whole regime. He was probably disappointed because he grew up rooting for the Chicago Bulls. Like, rightfully so. Probably a little ticked off about that trade. Goes to Minnesota, has that 45-point game in the playoffs, plays great hoops for him. But then the Bulls get rid of the entire regime that trades him. And now with Bryson Graham, Thiago Splitter, maybe Ayo can just kind of put that trade in the back of his mind and say, you know what, screw it. It's a whole new regime. Maybe I am open to returning to the Chicago Bulls. Because if he were to be open to it, the Bulls got to do it, man. Like, he is a perfect modern-day guard. It's not just that he's from Chicago. He could be from goddamn Australia. I would not care where he's from. This his archetype of player, the way he plays the game of basketball, it is perfect for the modern-day game. Because I've been saying, if you can't guard in 2026, you probably can't play. Well, Ayo is one of the best point-of-attack defenders in the league. He has turned himself into one of the best three-point shooters in the league. I mean, the first half of the year when he was with the Chicago Bulls, this guy was shooting 45.1% from downtown on 4.3 attempts per game. And then even this past season with the Timberwolves, or even the second half of the season with the Timberwolves, shooting 41.4%. He was efficient in the playoffs as well, had monster games. He also feels like Ayo's one of those guys, when the playoff rolls around, his game elevates. So what would my offer be to Ayo Dosunmu? I think he's probably going to want $30 million, and that's a lot of money. I would give him 4 years, $120 million. Now, it's $30 million a year. That's a lot of bread, but I think with the Bulls having $58 million to spend in cap space, this deal also for Ayo in a couple years now, like $30 million. It's a wild number. That's going to be probably recorded as a blockbuster deal. But in a couple years from now, with the salary cap consistently going up, and Ayo, like, he can legitimately be a fourth best option on a championship team. Well, that's what fourth best options make. Like, Mikal Bridges for the Knicks, he's making around $30 million. So I would be willing to give that deal to Ayo Dosunmu as well. And also, how funny would it be looking back on this trade where you trade him to the Timberwolves for just, 4 months of work necessarily, and you get Leonard Miller. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Rob Dillingham, but I do like Leonard Miller a lot. And then you get 4 second-round picks. Like, that would be very intriguing. And then what if we just, combine it all? Like, what if the Bulls just have a perfect offseason? It all goes well. Like, we are able to get Caleb Wilson. Aday Mara falls to pick 15. Then you bring back Ayo Dosunmu. Would this lineup not intrigue you guys? With still a Tre Jones, Okoro, also Jalen Smith off the bench. Like, this team, I'm not saying they could go, win a series in the Eastern Conference. This team could sniff around and maybe be the A seed next year if Caleb Wilson and Buzelis, if they develop, and Aday Mara looks like a legit guy. But I've also said it, if you are keeping Josh Giddey, Ayo Dosunmu is like the perfect type of guard to have next to him. Like a defensive-minded guard who can also run in transition, can knock down the open three. So you guys let me know. Do you want Ayo Dosunmu back on the Chicago Bulls? Would you offer him that $30 million per year contract? You guys let me know your thoughts down below. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Now we'll dive into the Josh Giddey talk here in just a second, but today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks, America's #1 sports picks app. PrizePicks is the place to go if you love daily fantasy sports. Player picks are on fire right now with playoff basketball just wrapping up, and now we got the World Cup getting going. There's no better place to cash in while watching sports than with PrizePicks. To qualify for a PrizePicks lineup, pick 2 to 6 players and select more or less on stat projections, including points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers, and several others across all sports. And if you're more of a baseball guy, you can choose stats such as hits, home runs, and strikeouts. But let's just say you're a golf guy. This is our lineup for the U.S. Open this weekend. We took Ricky Fowler to make the cut. But, hey, if you guys ever want to fade my picks or tail my picks, just do so at PrizePicks. You guys can follow me over there at Pat Seeps is the handle. And our new user offer, download the PrizePicks app today. Use that promo code HMA when you put your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you put your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups. That clickable link to download the app is in the comment section and description of today's show. All right, let's talk about the latest going on here with Josh Giddey. Darren Wolfson tapped in, beat reporter for Minnesota, covers the Vikings, covers the Timberwolves, and saw this tweet today, and he says, another player of interest for the Wolves, or to the Wolves, per multiple league contacts. Not just one guy. He's got multiple people telling him he could have some interest, or the T-Wolves could have some interest in Josh Giddey. This Bulls guard Josh Giddey. Just not sure how you pry him out of Chicago, and I like his fit with Tiago Splitter. Now, I think maybe Wolfson's overvaluing like how the Bulls view Josh Giddey, and also I can already see the comments. Patrick, you already made the declaration that you're not talking about Josh Giddey trades anymore, but we got a report, so I got to talk about it. And it wouldn't make some sense from Minnesota side of things. Like, you have Anthony Edwards, fits more as a 2-guard. You got some really young athletic wings still, and, Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid. They like to run in transition. Having a guard like Josh Giddey could make some sense. Also, you could hide him defensively with Jaden McDaniels and Rudy Gobert at the rim. Now, what could the Bulls potentially get back? What about Naz Reid and Terrence Shannon? Now, Naz Reid to help match the contract, and Terrence Shannon to be that young, explosive guard that you could bring in and hopefully he develops with an increased role with the Chicago Bulls. For Josh Giddey, probably fair value. Like Naz Reid, I mean, he's won 6th Man of the Year in the past. He's a hell of a big to bring off the bench. Incredibly skilled. I mean, he is the co-founder of Jelly Fam, if you know, you know. And he's been very efficient over the last 4 seasons. Like, you know what you're getting with Naz Reid. He's going to be a guy that comes off the bench, knocks in 14, 15 points a game. I wouldn't hate this trade. Now, obviously, Naz Reid would be the best piece you're getting back between him and Terrence Shannon, but Terrence Shannon, like the raw numbers don't blow you away, but he's had some big-time playoff moments for him, and it's almost felt like the Timberwolves are just trying to hide him from other NBA teams, but I was huge on him coming out of Illinois. Really explosive guard, good handles. Like, if you guys were watching the finals, I'm not comparing him to Dylan Harper. Plays a very similar type of game where, like, he's a lefty, tries to get his back, or tries to get you pinned under the basket, and he just uses his size to go over the top. Now, if he could develop his three-point shot, I really think that's his next step. But for the Bulls, like, would I like another draft pick for giving up Josh Giddey? Absolutely. And also, I will say on the Josh Giddey front, I started to kind of change my tune on him a little bit. He's still a very young player. He still has a lot of room to develop. So, like, if the Bulls turn down this trade, it's not like I would be upset about it. I don't even frankly know if I would do this trade. Like, I think I would just to, fully reset, get new blood in the building, just fully get rid of that, past regime. But I also starting to talk myself into Josh Giddey at least being a guy for the Chicago Bulls moving forward. But you guys let me know. Should the Bulls trade Josh Giddey? Give me a T for trade. Give me a P for pass. You guys let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section, and we will catch you guys next time. As always, go Bulls.